Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Better You podcast.
Hello.
Hi. Today we have a very special guest of mine, Tricia. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, I'm Tricia. I've been friends with Patricia for how long now? I think almost since basically childhood, since kindergarten. So I think we were like what, 5, 6 maybe, really young. So I don't remember this, but I think we used to carpool with a bunch of our other childhood friends, and we were pretty close back in the day. But I think over the years we went to different schools. So yeah, but we've reconnected now. Yay. In London. We're in the same space. A lot of similarities that we have is we're both eldest daughters in the family, and we both have younger brothers. I mean, I've got two, you've got one. But I think that's something we both have in common in terms of like how we treat them or how we like think, the mindset. It's very interesting to like think about, and I hope we get to discuss it, a lot in detail today. That's a little background for me and Patricia and how I've known her. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm so happy to have Tricia. And as she said, like we've connected back again after so long. Yeah, she just echoed what we are going to be talking about today. Today's topic is about eldest daughter syndrome. And maybe not many people know about this. Just a bit of background what it is. The eldest daughter syndrome is defined as the societal and family pressure for being the firstborn daughter in the household. This actually leads to a sense of, over responsibilities and overachievement. And other characteristics include being like the third parent, perfectionism, people pleasing, difficult setting boundaries, and anxiousness. I just want to hear from Tricia. So from what I've just described, do you resonate with the eldest daughter syndrome?
I think with most of them, like most of the traits you've mentioned, yes. But I guess it's like there are other variations that I do feel that are kind of similar, but also like a bit far from that. But most of the time, yeah, I think I do understand like all those things that you've just mentioned, and I do relate to them. Particularly with like perfectionism, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this one, but it's like the ability to like make people kind of like rely on you a bit, or like you just have the sense like you have to do it, So I'm not sure what you really call that, but I think it's a variation of what you just described. So yeah, I do resonate with the typical like eldest daughter syndrome in that sense. Big one for me is, I guess, perfectionism. I think that's something that I never really realized I had an issue with. Never really thought I had it, but the more I think about it, I do things that does show up in that sense. For example, like overworking. I think with my day job, I think I do that because I need things to be great. I need things to be like perfect down to the T, the details. So I need people to see that like, oh, I'm doing a good job, because I feel like it's a childhood thing. Most eldest daughters, they have this sense of like everything needs to be like perfect as a blueprint. You know what I mean? Like, so your parents can see how good you're doing, so your siblings can look up to what you're doing. And then I think it manifests into work, that sort of habit where everybody else needs to see how great and how smart you are. But it's, in a sense, it's toxic. It get turned really toxic. Comes with pros and cons, I guess. Like for me, you can see it as, oh, it's just a good way to like push yourself, to show that you're actually really capable, but bad in the sense that you're doing it at the cost of your own like mental health, like your physical health, which is a big one. So yeah, I mean, that's something I have to say about resonating with this syndrome. Yeah.
For me, it's more about taking care of people. Like you feel like you have that responsibility to be there for someone, or just step up to be that person. It's really tough. I feel like I resonate with it so much. And I think it, like you, it's been a lot clearer for me, especially now that I've become an adult. And I look back, I do see like a lot of the eldest daughter syndrome happening in my life. Naturally, like you just said, it also brings into work, and you just can't help it, because I think just growing up, you are wired in such a way that you need to show up in every setting that way.
Yeah.
We'll talk into this further. Great sharing, thank you. Did you ever feel like you had to grow up too fast then as the eldest daughter? If so, how did that impact your childhood and adulthood?
So yeah, in a sense, I did feel like I had to grow up. I think just faster than most people my age at the time. I think
Mm.
particularly with figuring things out. I think that was something that was really confusing for me for the longest time because I felt like I had to have a sense of duty to do the right thing, like study
Mm.
the right degree. It has to be, of course, the typical like either STEM or like a business or like finance, like those stereotypical straight degrees.
Mm.
I think it also kind of shifted my perspective into like why I had to do it. It's like back then, I think I had this thought where it's like, no, you can't do things like, for example, you can't study art, you can't do things that are fun because there are people who expect things out of you, like your parents, and you have to set an example to your brothers. And so you have to put yourself in a position where you like have to show up as the bigger person,
Mm.
the better, the most improved version ever, as the oldest one that knows more supposedly. And I think it impacted my childhood because I felt very restricted. I felt very
Mm.
like caged in a box, and I felt like I was never given an option or the freedom to just do what I really wanted. And although maybe my parents would have been okay, realistically, now that I think about it, to let me do whatever I wanted, I felt at the time because of the environment that I was in school as
Mm.
well, that I couldn't. I just was not presented these options, and I therefore couldn't have these options. Yeah, in a sense, I had to grow up too fast in that sense. Emotionally as well, I was very reserved as a kid. I was very caged as a kid. I never learned how to like express anything at all. I was pretty like just very cold to like a lot of people and myself. I just thought like if any vulnerable feelings were felt, I could never show them because it's a sign of like weakness. It's like
Mm.
no one can know I'm weak, not even my family, not even my friends. So I think in a sense it hardens you as a lot as a child or a teenager that carries on to your adult life, which is why I felt like in a sense, that was how I grew up too fast.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's very standard, eldest child with a significant age gap with your siblings kind of thing. Not to say that I had a huge age gap, but my youngest one is like 5 years younger than me. And that's basically one whole high school life away. So by the
Okay.
time he was 13, I was already off to like college.
Mm.
It puts your mind to perspective. It changes things in how you have to show up for other people, which manifests into like your work, your friends. So yeah, I think that's how I can best describe your question or answer your
Mm.
question.
Mm. Oh, that's very interesting to know because I think I'm at the other side of the spectrum.
Interesting.
I felt like I had to grow up very fast also,
Mm.
but I was more towards expressing a lot that I had to take care of others.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the downside of that is that I'm always appearing as though everything is fine. When
Yeah,
in
yeah,
fact,
like masking your
in fact,
emotions.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really good at masking.
yeah. No, I think that's similar to
Mm.
what I felt. Really, it's masking is one term for it, but I think I hid a lot of it and
Mm.
internalized it. Like I think people can't tell that there was something wrong, but I will never tell and show that it was wrong. But I get what you mean though, 100%.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was masking under a very friendly, a very cheerful person.
Mm.
That's very interesting that we are both eldest daughters,
Mm.
but we mask in different ways.
Yeah, I think it's very individual, of
Mm.
course. But the underlying issues are all kind of there and the same. It's just like
Mm.
you're hiding something that you feel like you can't really explain and show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. To answer the question about like how that has affected my childhood and adulthood, I think it has shaped me to be over independent. I would fear asking people for help because
Yeah.
from the environment that I grew up in, I guess it's also Asian, right? We are both
Yeah.
Asians.
Yeah.
Our moms will tell us don't trouble people and stuff. So I think that has led me to be so over independent to the point that
Yeah.
I'm scared of asking
For
help.
help. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's all about vulnerability. I think the
Yeah.
core theme is vulnerability. I'm very bad at this. I still kind of am. It must be hard for you as well to be vulnerable in front of people like that you're trying to ask for help from. Vulnerability is the root of how we just don't know how to express anything, don't know how to ask for help. But I think you learn how to be open as you age because you realize that opening up is the only way you can move forward with your life in terms of making like meaningful friendships
Mm.
or like bonding with your family. Even with work, if you open up at work, it does create solid like boundaries and create
Mm.
solid like relationships with or relationships with a network.
You just answered the third question I was going to
Okay,
ask
okay,
about
yeah,
asking
yay.
for help. It was about how has the responsibility of us being the eldest daughter affected our sense of self and asking for help. So you just said everything that we were about to say.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I think I just want to add is like every time, but
Yeah.
I think it's something how you know that is something that you need to work on and you're willing to work on that. So at the moment I'm working towards being more comfortable in, just telling people that I need help and that is fine. It's not me being weak. It's actually me just being more open and sharing
Yeah.
and getting support from others.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, a lot of people have like this innate sense to put others before themselves.
Yes.
And like, obviously there's a boundary with that, but I think where it's needed, a lot of people will extend a hand to help. Of course, if it's like reciprocated. So obviously it works both ways. Like if you need help, you will help them. In the future, if they need help, you'll also help them. So I feel like that creates a very healthy like need for each other or a new friend or a new relationship, stuff like that. So I think it's always good to be open and ask for help. At the same time, be open to helping others.
Great way of putting it, because for me it's like I've never struggled giving people help. It's more like I was giving people too much help. Like I wasn't putting myself first.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the idea about like I care about people so much. Being like an eldest daughter, it also spiraled in my own personal life. Like from taking care of my family, like my brother, my parents. Like naturally, I was giving myself too much for people, and never like always putting myself second.
So I feel like we're both eldest daughters. We have similar like underlying issues, but the way we have them in application is different from the theory. I'm a very different bit from you, I think, with what you just described. I'm really overwhelmed. I always put myself first, but it can come off as very selfish. And I have neglected friends and family because of that. Like I won't text anyone, won't talk to anyone. If they make plans, I'll just like I can't. I think it's very shutting down kind of thing. But with that being said, I do think that there needs to be a balance regardless of who you are. So you need to know how to prioritize yourself with the balance of prioritizing the people that matter most in your life, like friends and family, as well as work. Like it's very hard to find the balance, but where you feel like you're lacking in some places, you need to overcompensate for that. For me, opposite problem is you. I prioritize myself first when I'm shutting down, but now I've learned to be more like receptive of other people and opening up to help them. Like I have to give myself to them. Otherwise, I know it's very detrimental for myself. You know what I mean? So that's the balance I'm finding. And I think similar for you, you need to prioritize yourself first instead of over helping everyone else. So I think you found that balance as well. It's like everything else in life, 50-50, yin yang, balance, zen kind of thing. Very cliche, but it does make sense the more you think about it.
Yeah, it does. And you've put it so nicely. And I'm so happy to see like both of us are working on our own journey towards, being like a better versions of ourselves. The next question is actually for you. I think it flows well. Have you ever felt guilty for putting yourself first instead of prioritizing your family or others?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, because I think this does tie with the fact how I just mentioned that I tend to be like selfish. Not selfish. I wouldn't put it as selfish. It's just I prioritize myself more. I shut down, don't talk to anyone else. I do feel guilty about doing that, but really the reason why I do that is because I feel like if I don't get myself straight and sorted first, there's no way I can show up for everyone else. So I need to, but then it comes to this toxic point where I'm like, I need to be perfect for everyone else first. I need to have myself together. I need to get my figure out what to do with my finance, this and that. It's just like all these things I need to figure it out just in case the person that needs help needs one of these resources and I can explain, give them and all that. It's a very overcompensating kind of toxic habit or trait that I have. Okay. It's very different from you, I feel.
100%. So.
Yeah, I think it's just we're both very different the way we deal with it. I do it in a sense, which I think this does tie with our MBTI type, by the way. I do it in a very INTJ way, but you do it in a very INFJ way, right? It's two very different, but I resonate with it deeply where I'm very solutions orientated. So if somebody needs my help, I will go at it with, okay, I have had this experience. I've managed to figure these out. So if you need help, I can pull it up from one of my brain files and explain it to you. That's the person I am.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not very emotional. So I'm not a very good person when it comes to I feel bad for, neglecting you, and I need to compensate that by, like, I don't know, like talking about it. I'm very bad at that. I will usually be very like tangible and physical. It's very, very like
Logical.
very logical. Like, I'm sorry about that. Here is some food that I owe you. Here is something that I can give you back physically, or like in terms of like logic. It's really stupid. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just very me. It sounds like something's wrong, but it's just how I am. It's very funny.
You're not wrong. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the way we are wired and how
different.
it works best for us.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a feeler, and just going back to that question, I always feel guilty when I put myself first.
Yeah.
And it just takes me like maybe half a day or a day to like, then I start overthinking, like, oh, I should have helped this person more.
Yeah, half a day is nothing to prioritize yourself, okay? Like, when I'm gone for at least 2 weeks.
Do not disturb more.
Yeah, actually do not disturb more. I think it's good that we're both offering different perspectives. Maybe it can help someone out there feel the need to, figure out which is which that's more like resonating towards whatever. But yeah, no, I think it's good to give perspective into our brains this way, because I know it's very isolating what we're both going through. It can get very lonely, and especially as an overthinker, and someone that really overanalyzes things in my own headspace, it gets really exhausting, and it does put you in a really tough spot. But at the end of the day, when you come out of it, I always feel grateful that I figured it out. Not figured it out, but at least I've come to terms with it, because it really makes you think like, oh, like, this is the way it is, and it's just another life lesson. As in, I put myself first, and I figure out how to put myself first, but with the expense of balancing it by being maybe just a bit more emotional with this one person that needs my help. And you start to think about it like, well, because I was more emotional, I'm more in tune with my feelings now, but usually I wasn't. So it forces you to be the things that you're not, in a good way. So, for example, maybe it might force you to be a bit more logical when needed, and it might force me to be a bit more feeling when needed. So it's like when it's needed, and it's very crucial for any relationship or a friendship you're in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because any of this require both. So
if you can see the look in my eyes, I'm so inspired by Tricia right now. Like, I just had to put it out there. Yeah,
I see a sparkle.
But no, serious. Like, I'm just like, wow, that's the person I want to be. Because like when she said I put myself first, I've never said that to myself. And I think in the past few months, that's something that I've told myself confidently. So it's really nice to see like, okay, I'm heading towards that direction. That's good.
Well, it's like we're reaching for one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are meeting halfway soon.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's very interesting. I mean, I find your case very interesting to me as well, though. Like, just as a side note, I think I aspire to be a bit more feeling and emotional, because I do want to be way more considerate towards others. Because I have been told in the past that I'm not very EQ friendly. I'm not very considerate. I'm a bit selfish. I come off as cold and not very approachable. But I don't want to be that person, because like every other person out there, like every other normal person wants to make good friends. And the other person wants to be happy with friends and have a nice little, people that will be there with you for the rest of your life. So I think that's the aim, Like, I find your case very interesting as well to like strive towards. As a side note.
Oh, thank you.
But go on.
Okay. Do you see a pattern in the way you approach friendships or romantic relationships then, because of your role as the eldest daughter?
Yeah. I'm very avoidant as a person.
I think that makes so much sense. It's not just MBTI. Yeah. I'm very anxious type.
Yeah, I think, are you anxious?
I'm more anxious. Or? I'm actually both, So
you're fearful?
Yes, fearful, okay. Avoidant. Yeah.
I think I'm more, if I don't know the specific like fearful, I don't know specific like this and that, but I know that I'm avoidant as a person. It has shown up very toxically in my life in terms of like people that I could have potentially been in relationships with. The first thing I do is basically like run away. At the moment of vulnerability, I will be like, oh, this is not for me. I gotta go by. And I self-sabotage a lot. That's what I did in the past, basically. It was really bad. Even with friendships, I think. Some friendships, I think you try to be like, oh, I'm so cool. But to the point where it's very off-putting, right? And no one wants to be friends with that. So I've learned to be a bit more soft in that sense, so that I can be more like approachable with and to people. But with the avoidant thing, I think, I think it's because of the way I grew up. My family's also very avoidant when it comes to feelings. When we're like feeling like sad or angry or depressed or confused, we will never say it. We will always avoid. And if we fight, in my family fight, we will just pretend it never happened. We just avoid each other until it cools down and talk again, like, without addressing the issue. So I think because of that, it does show up in my
Personal life.
like personal life. Yeah, it does, and it really, really does affect my meaningful relationships with just friends or family, or yeah. I mean, that's all I can say about it. Really, I don't know how else to describe it other than I think it's because I'm not used to being emotional or vulnerable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. For me, I can see it in terms of like friendships and romantic relationships is that I tend to over take care of other people. Because I think I've just been so used to take care of others. So when someone has offered to take care of me, which is so normal and it should be the case, I kind of think like, oh my God, like, am I asking too much or am I being too much? But I think I've learned while healing, is that it's okay and I'm fearful avoidant, right? I think that also has partly contributed in how I felt like I wasn't good enough and worthy enough. From my eldest daughter perspective is because I had to meet a certain level to be perfect. And fearful avoidance are very hot and cold. So if someone comes close, I get a step back. But when the person gets a step back, I crave for their attention. So, that
right.
dynamic, it was so much for me.
Right. I get you.
But yeah, it's so interesting and it's great that we are working towards finding the balance altogether.
Yeah.
The next question is about people pleasing and perfectionism in your professional life.
Yeah.
How do you think the eldest daughter has come into play?
My professional life, I think it shows up very obviously as overworking. I think it's again to do with the fact that you must seem like you've had it all, know it all, is doing the best, so that people can see like, oh, you're so smart, you're so good at what you're doing. But to the point where it gets very detrimental to what is deemed as the limit, I think. And I don't think it's just an eldest daughter thing. Yeah, maybe I know that a lot of people have, will do this anyway because it's very corporate. But with eldest daughter syndrome specifically, I know it shows up as the need to be a good example to maybe your juniors or to be a very good worker to your seniors. So you tend to find that I need to be good. I need to be so good. Yeah. In my experience, I just overworked. It hurt my life. It hurt my health. But it wasn't great. I've gotten better right now, finding that balance. But I just know that when it comes to any work setting, any work life, you need to have a balance. Doesn't matter if it's like a doing less work thing. It just needs to be, you need to find a good coping mechanism. So even if you're given a lot of work, I think you need to find a healthy coping mechanism to compensate for that balance.
Set boundaries.
Set boundaries, yeah. Know how to speak up when it matters. So if you're going through a tough time at work, like if you're having a lot of work, you should try and speak up and stand for yourself. That's what I've tried doing before and it worked. It worked because I was honest. But if I wasn't a healed perfectionist, I would have just sucked it in and done it anyway. So that's what happened in my first year of working. I just sucked it up and did it. But in my second and third year, I've learned to speak up a bit more. So yeah, everybody just needs to learn how to have that. Yeah.
So well put together. Like for me, I resonate with the perfectionism self at work. I was also relying on validation through my achievements at work. And that was coming from my eldest daughter's syndrome because, growing up, I had to set a good example and I always felt validated when people praise me like, hey, wow, you're doing great and all this and you're such a good example for your siblings and whatsoever. I think that naturally has spiraled into my work where if I wasn't performing at my very best and I wasn't getting any praise, I felt like I wasn't adequate. Which is not true because I've always been doing well. Yeah. I think I expected a lot from myself.
Yeah. People tend to undermine themselves a lot in the workplace. It's not very healthy. I think anything you've done, just know that you're there for a reason. They picked you for a reason, and you're the one doing it for a reason. It all comes to a big circle of you were picked for a reason. That's my take on it.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've healed so much now that now at work I do see the value I bring to the table, and if things doesn't go as planned, I don't put on myself. Instead, like obviously I reflect, and there will always be a solution, and there will always be brighter days ahead. It's just how do you manage that? And yeah, it's like I think what you said about you're perfect the way you are is just interesting how I can see that connection with my own personal life. I always felt like when I was dating, like I always felt like I wasn't good enough for them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
something that I try to remind myself now, and I think it's eye opening now that I'm healing, is that I'm just amazing as I am. Like obviously no one's perfect, but they chose me for a reason. And it's sad that I couldn't recognize that at that point.
Yeah.
But now I know my own value. So I think we've answered partly this question, so that's great. That at what point did you realize you needed to unlearn some eldest daughter tendencies, and any steps you've taken to set boundaries and prioritize yourself? I think you've been doing great at that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you too. Things I've done to unlearn bad tendencies. I think for the biggest one, it's learning. It's when I couldn't like say no. I think
That's
it's
a big
It's very
one.
obvious. It's a big one, right? But I'm not gonna lie to you, though. I'm still really bad at that. It's not really people pleasing. It's just that when someone asks of me, I tend to be like, I will do it and I'll do more. For example, my coworker was like, "Oh my god, going back home to Malaysia. Can you help me get this and that?" We're not close, and I don't think you're gonna pay me back because I feel like it's a very Asian thing where it's like, "Oh, you don't pay me back. It's okay." And I have that tendency to just be like, "Sure, I'll get it for you, even though you're not paying me back." And I feel like I'm being used. So I tend to create lies of that. I'll be like, "Oh, sorry, like my luggage was stolen. Sorry, couldn't get it to you, but I really tried." It's like I realize I create lies because I didn't know how to say no. But I realize the issue comes when you're doing it to like a family or sibling, basically people that matter close to you, when you're lying to them in that sense and you cannot be honest by saying no. For example, my parents are like, "Can you go and see this auntie that's coming on this date?" But because I know I'm really tired, I don't feel like it, and I know I should see this auntie, I create a white lie by saying, "Oh, actually, I've got conference. I've got conference that day." So I lied, but I could have just said like, no, like I know I should show up, but I'm honestly tired. I've got a lot of work. Also, I just don't feel like going. I'm sorry. Like on that day specifically, any other day is fine, but that day I just cannot go. Do you get what I mean? It's just like I don't know how to say no officially. I don't know how to really say no, and then people respect that no. To me, it's just like I lie about saying no. You know what I mean?
So interesting.
It's
I
a very
think
complex thing, isn't it? Yeah.
it's like how we're so different at the start of our discussion. I'm actually the opposite. Like I struggle saying no because I always just say yes.
Yeah.
And I just go like, let's say in that context with your parents, right? If my mom were to ask me, "Can you see this aunt?" I'll say, yeah, for sure. But then at that point, like I'm tired, but I still go.
That's what I'm saying. You follow through
Interesting.
with it, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
for sure.
I think you have commitment. I don't have commitment. You know what I mean?
Yours is like you prioritize yourself, but you're also setting like white lines. For me, it's like I'm not really prioritizing myself. Yeah.
That's the thing. If I can give a pointer into how we are, I tend to prioritize myself too much, and I'm trying not to. See, it depends on the context, but in my context is I'm trying to be more vulnerable, so I can create more like long-lasting relationships and friendships. But whereas you say yes too often, where people overstep your boundary, right? So I think that's the big difference that I think we both have, and it's very interesting that we stem from the same issues, but the issues kind of transcend into something like a variation of each other. It's kind of funny. I find it very amusing.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, this is quite deep. How can parents better support their eldest daughters instead of relying on them too much? Would you say?
I think for one, the biggest thing is probably words of affirmation. I think that's a good one. You know, a lot of Asian parents, they don't say like, "Wow, like you're so great. Like I'm so proud of you. I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing well." They don't ask these questions. They're kind of just like they say it in a way where it's very like, when I grow old and I'm like when I'm like home alone, who's gonna take care of me when I die, like this and that. They do it in a very like guilt trippy way, so you feel obligated that you need to do these things, right? I think instead of doing all that, please don't do that. I really don't like it when parents do that. It just makes me feel really obligated to do something that obviously I want to do. Like, I want to take care of you. I will do this. These are expected, but you are making me do other things. For example, like, oh, for example, you gotta, when your brother asks for something, you should just pay for it. You should just say yes. You know, it's things that overstep your boundary. For example, you should just do your brother's like CV since you got a job. It's very personal. This is a very personal experience, but it's kind of almost like your parents expect you to really babysit your siblings, for example, or maybe do things that you don't really want to do. Like, you should change and do this job specifically. You need to get into this investment banking job. It's the only way to go. No, I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do investment banking. And I care about my brothers deeply, but I'm not going to do a CV for them. I'm not going to apply for a job for them. That's their responsibility, and I can only guide them. That is my boundary. What parents need to understand is, do not talk to me as though I'm really obligated to do these things. They need to say it in a way where I'm appreciative of you. If you could do this, that is, if you could do this, I think it'd be wonderful, because they come at you from a very emotionally vulnerable but also logical way, where it's like, in the future, when your siblings are, this and that, are you like, you should maybe, you can be there for them for this specific instance. You can maybe guide them how to do this. That'd be really nice to see from you. They say it that way. Yeah, it makes me really want to do it. Like, it's a more softer approach. It's an approach where I feel more human.
What you just said, I admire, because like you're just being direct and just honest about everything. There's a few things that I want to unpack here that I found very useful. The first one is about the fact about expectations. I do agree, Asian parents, especially like growing up, I was compared with my brothers, and I had to be like a certain role model. And that comes also with a lot of expectation. It's a huge burden, as an eldest daughter. And then I think it's interesting because I feel very proud of myself that I took it in a better way, because even though, let's say, I grew up in that kind of setting, I knew straight away that one day when I get married and I have kids, I will never teach my children such a way. Instead, I want to give all the love to them, and whatever you just said about how we were spoken to while growing up, I resonate with that. I'm actually very lucky because my mom my love language is words of affirmation. I believe that's because I came from a household where my mom gave me that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
she's, my mom, right? So
Yeah,
she's
she's very
very
sweet.
sweet and
Yeah,
everything.
very lovely.
And I feel very lucky because growing up, she would always say, you've done a good job, all that. But I won't deny, when it comes to me setting a good example to my brother, she's very stern on me.
Yeah.
And I came up on a good side. On paper, I'm very disciplined. But emotionally, I think I've been very harsh on myself, because I always felt like I want to make my mom proud. I love her very much. But then I put it on myself instead. So it's great, because I think how I feel parents should support their eldest daughter would be, like you say, your suggestion about how you encourage them to be a good role model to their siblings. It's like, if you could, instead of you should, it's more like, I expect this of you. Of course, like any child would feel like, oh, wait, is it me? Like, am I wrong in this? Am I not good enough? So I guess that's one way that parents, and I'm actually very confident in the new generation. People have more access to education, and I can see the people around me, like my friends, when I have confidence that when they become parents, they do not want to be trapped in the same generational trauma that we grew up in. And I 100% will not. And I think that's why, as females, we are more selective in finding a partner. The final question is, if you could go back and say something to your younger self, or any advice to elder daughters struggling with these expectations?
Things I could say to my younger self. I think I would probably say, don't be so harsh on yourself. I think, like, it's okay to work hard and strive for bigger things, but don't do it at the expense of your health. Don't do it at the expense of other people's well-being, in terms of like overly people pleasing. You think you need to provide everything for them. Because that's what I did with my brothers, for example. I felt like I needed to do everything for them. One word I want to say of that is don't take everything so personally to yourself. Um, what I mean by that is if things don't go work out your way, don't take it personally. You gotta just let it go, accept it, and then work. What's the next best thing to do? You're like, just because you're the eldest kid, it doesn't mean everything falls to your hands. Things happen. Sometimes, even your brothers might be more capable than you. You don't know that. So your siblings might be more capable than you. You need to let that like sink in and just kind of like be less strict and be less rigid as a person. I think be more open, be more soft, be more gentle, let people in, show that you really like care about people in a way that you are not very imposing. I think so. I think that's what I would tell my younger self. Just be a little bit more gentle, if I could, and like don't. Yeah lah, don't need to be so perfect lah. You don't have to be a perfectionist. You can just chill a little bit. It's fine. Yeah, yeah.
For me, it's like you said, like don't be so harsh on myself and rest. And I think you are worthy of just the way you are, and the opinions of your parents or anyone do not define you ever. So then the last bit, I think I can see you trying your best, and the fear of like not performing better for your parents. I think the fear of that you are an embarrassment or a disgrace has creeped up in as I grew older. But don't worry, because you're doing great right now.
Yeah.
And but the truth is, like, you're always amazing just the way you are, and it's sad but also nice to know that I've realized it now, and it's a lot clearer to me. And you are deserving of love. Most importantly, the love you give yourself. So if no one ever does, you are still lovable. I think that's what I want to say to my younger self.
That's really good. It's really, really reflective. Yeah, no, I'm happy you thought of all these things to say to yourself, because, like, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have thought about any of these good things to say like right now. I would have probably it took me like a month to really figure out what I had to say. Like, really thought about it. So respect to all those people that really know what to say when it comes to giving yourself advice. Actually, respect.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm really proud of you, Tricia.
Thank you. I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
Gone a long way.
Yeah. I hope this session is a good session for you to reflect back on your journey.
Yeah.
And how do you find it? Yeah.
My journey?
Yeah, I mean this session.
Oh no, this session's great. Yeah, it's very reflective. I've said some things I didn't realize I realized. I said some things I didn't realize I had, or like going through. But it's good to really talk about it and talk about it to someone else. I think it's good to know a broader spectrum of these things. Really,
we've got to know a lot about each other. Yeah,
I've realized it's not a very isolating experience. Probably a lot of people go through this as well. Yeah, yeah. No, that's my thought.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and taking your time today. And
thank you.
Yeah, I hope the listeners enjoyed this episode. So if you haven't already, please leave your comment, like, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.